Life shrinks or expands in proportion to one's courage. Anais Nin. When we have adults in our lives that contribute in a particular way, such as pouring into our self-image and building us up, when someone or something comes along to challenge us, we can just go to the bank and make a withdrawal from all of those deposits to respond in a courageous way. We had to learn it. I'm Jocelyn Reed, your host, mother, sister, friend, educator, coach, and lifelong learner. A super fan of a mac and cheese loving curious kiddo named Zaire. Let's plant seeds for the future and figure out how to describe and share this wild ride we call life together, one word at a time.
You are listening to Rootwords, the podcast presented by Revolve Learning.
Welcome back, educators. This is our Educators Edition episode 4.5 on courage. Now, when I was thinking about courage, I was flooded with a few memories from my career, but one of them that stood out, I was on my very first panel speaking in front of a large audience. And in that panel, we were talking about just the career of being a teacher. And I told that panel that teaching can be just as lucrative and progressive of a career as any other. A doctor, lawyer, businessman, or woman on Wall Street. The ballroom of educators sort of gasped, and then they took the ride with me on where I was going. If I sort of fast forward to this moment now, I found it Revolve Learning as a way to lift teachers up, especially teachers in historically marginalized communities, out of that poor profession mindset that prompted that ballroom of teachers to gasp all those many years ago. We just need to see the profession of teaching as a rich, meaningful, impactful career. A career that actually moves the needle forward of social justice, empowerment, and advocacy. There really is no better place for children to learn than from a teacher that actually loves what they do and sees their impact on the lives of the children that they get to impact and inspire. We touch a lot of kids. Like, there are a lot of kids that come through our doors when we're an educator. I was thinking about those many kids that have been in my classroom and just said they want to be a teacher when they get older. And then I was wondering, would they still want to be one even now? Would the kids in your classroom that say they want to be a teacher when they get older still want to be one after they've had you as their teacher? We still need kids to say, I want to be a teacher when I grow up, when I get older. That sentiment can change based on the teachers that they experience in their own educational journey. Even the teachers now that might be experiencing them virtually. We still need kids that aspire to take on this incredible position when they get older, even if it's kind of difficult and challenging for us right now. A story that came to mind when I was thinking about my time in the classroom and our incredible impact that we have on kids is I was teaching third grade at the time, and we had gone through like half of the school year, and I had one child that had came to me severely below grade level, and it was time for the second quarter parent-teacher conference. And while the child had made a ton of growth to that point, there was still a long way to go. And I put together this crazy, elaborate plan on what I was going to do to help catch this child up. And the parents came in, and I'm so excited to see them. They sat down, I laid out my plan, with the straightest face, without kidding, without joking, this parent said to me, "Don't even worry about all that, Miss Reed. He's not going to need this because he's going to the league." So, yeah, that's pretty much what my face did. I honestly was taken back. I honestly didn't know how to respond in that moment. I honestly don't even remember how I responded in that moment. I think I just kind of pushed through and said, okay, well, this is what, the plan I have for him while he's in my class, to just help him improve in his reading. But when they left, I was just like, wow, I never thought about how kids are going back into environments where they're being told that their only path, that the only thing that they're good at is this. And explicitly to not even worry about school and learning because their parents believe so much in their athletic ability that they see everything else as a waste of time. That really shook me up because it goes against everything I believed in terms of my responsibility as a teacher. I'm thinking about now, what did that child need? What will that child continuously need to be courageous enough to even mention other things that they are interested in, that they want to pursue because of what the parents and the adults around them are telling them to focus on? So after that, I was inspired to do something that I call the resume activity with my kids. Now I wanted to see what everyone wanted to be when they grew up and what they felt was needed in order to get there. Just to see what they were told outside of school and where their mindset was on how they would get there, even as a little second grader. You'd be surprised how much they have internalized what is going on around them and how that's going to take them where they want to go. So with this activity, I started with athletics. I played volleyball at Seton Hall University. I know a little bit about Division I athletics and what it takes to, one, get there, but also to stay there. I wanted to start because so many of my boys said that they wanted to be either a football or a basketball player. And I know still, it's not an adult's role to crush a dream. Like I'd said a few episodes ago, that's your quickest ticket to being on the news with those children saying that you were the one that said that they would never do anything. We don't want to do that. We don't want to crush dreams. But it is our job as educators to educate the children. Help them explore other options and interests while you have that control to share that with them. Not to say that they will never do those things, but to give them the straight up odds of those things happening. That's actual statistics. So I did that. I shared with my students the statistics around students making it to a collegiate level. And then from there, what the statistics are from the amount of collegiate athletes that make it on to play professionally. Now, I did this in a way that was respectful to this being a dream of theirs. My only angle to take here was to say, hey, these are other things that we can prepare as your plan B, just for when that might not happen, that might happen. But in the event that it doesn't, here are all the things that you have right in your back pocket that you can pull right out. And you're going to be just as passionate about these things because these are interests that you have started fostering even from when you're a young age. This is your parachute. Of course, you hope you never have to use it when you're up in that plane, but you sure are happy you have it. So let's just get out of the habit of a child having a dream like that and you just, squander that away and just say, yeah, right, and keep it moving. No, take it upon yourself to really give them the full picture here. It's likely that no one else really is. So earlier I mentioned like we just still need kids that want to be a part of this profession when they get older. I was reminded about an event I attended a couple years ago. There was a woman there that was speaking on a panel, Carmita Siman, and she is the founder and president of the Surge Institute. And she really sparked some great extensions of thought in thinking about the talent gap of educators, just the connection between the broader goals of social emotional learning for students, but the inherent deficit mentality that we sometimes have as adults, and especially of adults servicing children who often are thought of as having a deficit instead of an asset. So it made me really wonder, like, how much real estate are we really, especially now, putting into adult emotional learning, constancy with our emotions? Carmita said that we can't expect students to break through our areas of brokenness. What an expectation we often place on our students. And it's true. It takes an enormous amount of work to do that deep, deep dive into yourself as a school leader, an educator, to unearth internal bias and replace them with progressive science-based mindsets that just helps give our kids some momentum, again, unlocking their potential. We don't give kids potential. They already have it. We just have to unlock it. And I recognize that can be a tall order if the trauma and stress that a child has been through is literally locking their brain in a survival mode of flight, fight, or freeze. So we have a lot of work in front of us, but I guess it's kind of harsh, but you shouldn't be in front of students if you don't have, one, this knowledge of how the brain and body works, if a student has been through stress, but also if you're not willing to do the work yourself and to hold others accountable around you to think the absolute best of your students and their potential. So are we going to have that courage? The courage to stand up for what is right, for what our students deserve? When you hear a colleague, a teacher that is using limiting, biased language to describe his or her students, will you have courage to stand up to it? When we say silence is complacency, is there a limit on to what and to whom that can apply to? And I'm thinking about in the classroom. We have to be willing to speak up. If we want students well-versed and with the emotional capacity to continue on this long road we have ahead of us, this change that we want to see, long overdue equity in this country, we have to model that for them. It's true. We are tired, unsupported, usually underpaid, but it's still our job to intentionally speak positivity into each other as well as our kids. Really rally behind the power of the potential we see in the generation coming right after us. Okay, educators, that's a wrap for this episode. As always, there is an educator edition of our Questions to Connection worksheet. That worksheet also includes a teaching tip for how you can do an activity with your students on building courage. Now, don't forget, you can always head over to Instagram or Facebook at Revolve Learning to interact with us, ask us questions. We love having that dialogue with you. And last but not least, head on over to revolvelearning.com. Join our email list. We're going to be dropping a ton of new material. All of these resources, along with this podcast, are totally free, but you definitely want to be on our list when we drop our official professional learning series. So that's it. I will catch you in the next one.